All right. Hey, everybody. This is Emily Carlin, Territory Manager with Pioneer. And I am joined here today with Chip Flory, who has so helpingly decided, hey, I'm going to do my daughter a favor and help out with some questions about the new farm programs that have came out. So we've received a lot of questions over the past couple of days since the program has been announced. And we thought that it would just be easier to go straight to one of the best media people I know. And sorry, I'm sucking up just a little bit because you did this.
Sounds like it.
For me. So I have 5 questions wrote down here. Okay. And honestly, you don't know them all. So you're just going to spitfire answers at me and help us have a better understanding of these programs. Okay.
I'll do what I can here.
Question number 1. 2 programs. What are they and why are there 2?
Okay, 2 programs, 1 payment. Keep that in mind. When you sign up when you go to the FSA office and sign up, you're signing up for 1 payment, but it's 2 different programs. CARES Act, everybody remembers that. CARES Act was the Paycheck Protection Program, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. That is the source of that is one source of funding for these payments. The other source of funding is the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program. Now, that's where we're starting to pull from the Commodity Credit Corporation funds. And because you've got those 2 different sources of funding, even though it's 1 payment, there's for auditing purposes primarily, they have to be able to say very specifically where those funds came from, so that when they come back and ask for more later, because they're going to on the Commodity Credit Corporation in particular, there's going to be a big ask coming on the CCC side eventually. But when they do that, they need to be able to show where the money has already come from that has been distributed. So that's the reason for the 2 different programs, 1 payment. On the corn side of things, the CARES Act payment is 32 cents a bushel. The CCC payment on CFAP is 35 cents a bushel. So you throw them together and you get 67 cents a bushel. But it's how you get to that bushel number that really matters here.
Right.
And
so that's my next question.
Okay.
Moving on to number 2. What's the equation for figuring your corn payment?
Yeah, okay. Just had Undersecretary Bill Northey on the show, and we went through it again, and I asked him very specifically, make sure that I got this right. It's the smaller of half of last year's production or half of what you had in inventory on January 15th. Now, I didn't even get into the details of how could half of the inventory that you have on January 15th be any bigger than half of your 2019 production. So I think it's the real number that we're looking at is the January 15 number. I think the reason that they put the distinction in there on the legislation or in the language of the program is because it is because of what the CARES Act is designed to provide versus what the CFAP is designed to provide. So I think that's the reason for the different language on that, but it really comes down to half of what you had in storage on January 15th. That's going to be self-certified. You're going to fill out the forms, send them into FSA, and it's self-certified. Now, of course, there's going to be audits, and they're going to do this and they're going to do that, but it's half of the bushels that you had in storage times that payment rate.
Okay, soybean equation then.
Same thing. It's half. All the non-specialty crops, which soybeans are included in, are going to be at half of what was in storage on January 15 times the payment rate, and the payment rate on soybeans is a total of 95 cents. 95 cents. So the big thing, and it's 45 cents through the CARES Act and 50 cents through the CFAP Payment Act. And the big push here is, well, what if I did a great job of marketing and sold everything before we saw a 70-cent slide in corn and a $1 slide in soybeans? I'm not getting any benefit out of this, out of the payment. Well, you also didn't experience any of the loss caused by COVID-19. And that's what this is all designed to do. Is it fair? Well, you're getting half of the price slide, okay? Getting half of the price, the payment is included. So the way they calculate it, you're getting half of the price slide on half of what you had in storage.
Right.
So it's not going to make anybody whole, that's for sure, but it does ease the pain.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about a couple of industries that have been hit a little bit harder than maybe the grain producers have. So let's talk about the beef payment opportunity that's out there. What's the payment details on that?
Okay, now this one is it gets even weirder because of the way that things are administered here and how the CARES Act payment is determined versus how the CFAP payment is determined. Let's start with the second one, the CFAP payment. It's your highest inventory between April 16th and May 15th. Yes. Yeah, the highest inventory between April 16th and May 15th, and it's $33 a head. So if you've got if you're a cow-calf operator and you are you haven't sold your calves yet, your feeder calves yet, because you had spring calves, each pair is worth 66. Okay. I also had Marty Smith, the president of NCBA, on the show this morning. And he was very quick to point out it's not 33 for a cow-calf pair, it's 66 for the cow-calf pair. Now, the CARES Act is the eligibility on this is the number of cattle that were marketed or sold between January 15 and April 15. Okay. On feeder cattle, 600 pounds and under, under 600 pounds, not at 600, because if you've got a scale barn ticket that shows $600, it's like not a lottery ticket, but it's worth more money. But less than 600 pounds, the payment is $102. 600 pounds or more, $139 a head. So $37 more for those calves weighing 600 pounds and up. Slaughter cattle, and this would be the fat cattle, the feed yard cattle, $214 a head. Slaughter cattle, mature cattle, in other words, cull cows that may have been in a feedlot, but cull cows. And maybe a few slaughter bulls, $92 a head. And then all other cattle, I don't know what that is for sure, but all other cattle are coming in at $102 a head.
Okay.
On that. Pigs, those animals that were marketed between January 15, April 15, less than 120 pounds, get $28.
Okay.
120 pounds or more, $18. And then on the CCC payment, so your highest inventory between April 16 and May 15, $17 a head.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Next question. What about dairy producers?
Yeah.
Where's dairy laying all of this?
For dairy, and I'm just going to read straight from Jim Wiesmeyer's on this. And actually, it's not just Jim Wiesmeyer. Annalise Alaka, the editor of Farm Journal's Milk, has been involved in this coverage as well. For dairy, the total payment will be calculated based on a producer's certification of milk production for the first quarter of calendar year 2020 multiplied by a national price decline during the same quarter. The second part of the payment is based on the national adjustment to each producer's production for the first quarter. There, what you were just talking about, getting the adjustments in there. Now, USDA says for dairy, a single payment will be made based on producer certification of milk production for the first quarter of calendar year 2020 multiplied by $4.71 a hundredweight. So that's production. If you've got some documentation showing how much you may have had to dump, that's going to qualify here.
Okay.
Okay, that's going to qualify. The second part of the payment is based on the national adjustment to each producer's production in the first quarter multiplied by $1.47 a hundredweight. So it's actual production at 471, and then the adjusted production at $1.47. USDA also notes, okay, any dumped milk production during the months of January, February, and March 2020 is eligible for assistance. However, any milk production priced under a forward contract, so therefore it was not exposed to price risk.
Mm-hmm.
Any milk production priced under a forward contract for any time during January, February, and or March is ineligible.
Good. All right. Question number 5 has some questions in there. It is examples of different situations that I've had from people that are more questions about the corn and soybean programs. Okay. So I've got 4 different ones and you get to answer. And if you don't know the answer, I know the answer because it's always go talk to the FSA office. But let's say that you contracted before January 15th, so you sold the corn, but you haven't delivered it yet. Are those bushels eligible?
No, because there's no price risk.
All right, number 2. So you sold and delivered, but bought an option with the sale.
No price risk.
No
What's
price
at risk? What's at risk there is the premium paid for the call option.
Right.
It's not price risk.
Okay, sounds good. Number 3, set a basis contract, but didn't contract the sale.
I asked Bill that very specifically this morning. Yes, they are eligible because there is price risk.
All right. Last question. Half of 2018 crop was still in the bin, and half of the 2019 crop was still in storage January 15th. How much is eligible?
1/2 of the 2019 crop that is in the bin, 0 of the 2018 crop that is in the bin.
All right. You answered that one with flying colors. Nice.
There you go.
All right. At the end of your show, you talked to Tammy Baldwin
Yes.
From Wisconsin.
I love this proposal.
Right? And what's great about it is it just shows that there are more programs that are being created right now. So what are some of the details that Tammy talked about?
Okay.
And what should we expect and how should we understand going forward how we can incorporate some of these programs into our decision making?
Most important thing is that it is a program designed to put money, funds for coronavirus related relief into the states to be used at the state's discretion. So instead of taking $16 billion and taking it over to USDA and saying, Secretary Perdue, Undersecretary Northey, IBA, all you guys figure out the best way to put it out there, it sends the money to the state, puts it under the discretion of the state secretary or commissioner or whatever, and allows them to determine how that money would be best spent. Putting more power back in the state's hands. How is that a freaking problem? This is the program that should be used. They're asking for $1 billion for this. We ought to take the $16 billion from CFAP and put it back into this program so that the state can figure out the best way to do it. I think it's awesome.
Right. Well, and especially with the differences in the industries. I mean, I look at in our dairy focus compared to the pork industry here is just ginormously different.
Right.
And the markets are totally different. I mean, there's so many different influences that have happened because of the coronavirus and where we're exporting to. So I love this program too. I think this is something that needs to be elevated. How can producers make an impact to make this program stand out to Washington?
I think the most important thing to do is, number one, take a look at it. Don't just go off of my opinion on it. Take a look at the program, see if it makes sense to you. But think about this. I mean, if there are 2 states that are going to, shouldn't say just 2, I'm going to make 3 because Minnesota needs to be included in it in a big way. But Iowa and Wisconsin are the states that this is probably designed for.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's going to provide some additional assistance for those producers that had to dump milk. And this is the first best chance of something for passage to provide some funds to help the guys that are having to euthanize hogs.
All right, sir. I am done with my questions. You flew through that. That was fantastic. Thank you for putting all of the knowledge from the people that you have on your radio show every day into one segment for us so that we can get a quick answer. Like I mentioned before, if you have any questions about this, you have a very specific situation. Every farm is that way. So talk to the FSA office because they're going to know best. And the form process starts next Tuesday, right?
May 26th.
Okay. Yep. So right after Memorial Day. So everybody have a great holiday weekend. I hope that everybody enjoys it, knowing that we have a lot of the crop in the ground up here in Wisconsin, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you.